Happy Tuesday, happy Tuesday, happy Tuesday, everyone. My name is Justin Moore, founder of Creator Wizard, where I teach you how to find and negotiate your dream sponsorships. Welcome back to another live stream. We are going live across YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn. What other platforms did I say? Instagram. I think I said LinkedIn. Great to have you here. We got a great one for you today. I've titled it, Say This When Brands Ask Your Rates. This is a really a scary moment for a lot of people. Maybe it's your first partnership that you've ever done. The first time a brand has ever reached out and inquired about, compensating you for a partnership. Or maybe this is your 100th deal and you still feel that feeling in the pit of your stomach every time a brand asks you, how much do you charge? And so I have a little script that I want to talk about today because I think it takes a lot of the anxiety, a lot of the worry out of this situation and gives you more time to think everything through. So let me know where you're tuning in from. We've got Mesby, Funky Fur tuning in on TikTok, Trish. We've got Jasmine on Instagram, Marion Cresp, Stephanie Faraz, it's Miss Lacey. Good to see you here as well. We got Crystal Prophet tuning in. Let's see. We've got some folks tuning in on YouTube as well. And the Egyptian Magician just tuned in on TikTok. Boom. Love to see it. We've got Delilah. We've got Delilah tuning in from Fort Worth, Texas. We've got Sarah Dawn tuning in from the train. Good to see you here. We got Stuart Patrick giving the 3 thumbs up. Boom. Love to hear it. Good to see you all here today. So as you guys know, these live streams that I do every single week are for you. And so whatever questions that you have about sponsorships, negotiations, brand deals, partnerships, et cetera, I'm here to answer your questions a bit later in the stream. So make sure to drop it in the chat and I'll get back to those in a bit. We've got Dr. Dan tuning in from Connecticut. Good to see you here, Dr. Dan. And the Canadian Businesswoman Podcast from Toronto. Good to see you here as well. Marion's tuning in from Sydney. Awesome. All right. So let's dive right into this topic. So when brands ask your rates, here's what not to do. You should not just spit back one number. And this is what a lot of folks do, is a brand comes inbound and they say, hey, how much for an integrated YouTube video, or how much for a TikTok, or how much for an Instagram post, or a podcast insertion, whatever format it is. And then you just say $1,000. $250. You spit back a one-liner via email and they either take the deal or they don't. And you go your separate ways if they don't want it. And then you start negotiate, or you start, they send the contract if they say yes, and you move forward with the deal. And so it's a dangerous thing, because you may have gotten deals before where that actually worked out. You said the number, they said, sure, sounds good. Maybe there was a little bit of negotiating back and forth. But the problem, there's a couple different problems with this approach. The first is that when you boil everything down to purely a monetary thing, that the only lever that you have is price, unfortunately, you are now a commodity in the brand's eyes. Meaning that, when they're reaching out to you, and or maybe you pitch them, right, and you're trying to figure out how much you're going to charge, the likelihood of them talking with other people, let's say they did reach out to you, the likelihood of them reaching out to not just you, but let's say 5, 10, 15, 20, 50 other people to try to start gauging people's interest levels, gauging people's, rates, gauging things like this, is very high. This is all, remember, I ran an agency for many years, and this is what we did. When we decided that we were going to run a campaign for one of our clients, a brand, and they said, okay, we want to work with 20 people, or we want to work with 10 people. We knew that we had to go out there and probably contact closer to 30 people, right? Because the quick math is that 50% of people would just straight up not respond at all, even with multiple follow-ups. 25% of the remaining people would respond and just say they can't. Either their schedule doesn't permit it, they have other obligations that won't allow them. Maybe they have exclusivity with another brand during that period and they can't participate. And then, let's say 15% more would respond and say that they were interested, but then they would spit back a number that was way too high, way, above the brand's potential budget. And then the remaining 10%, I think that was 100%, the remaining 10% were people that ultimately fit all the criteria. They were available, they were within budget, and then they could proceed and move forward with them. But here's where this becomes really exciting for you as a creator, is that since you know that in all likelihood they're interacting with other people, and by the way, you can ask them this. You can ask them like how many other partners are you working with, or like tell me more about this campaign. Like, are you working with additional creators? This type of thing. You have to be, kind of, you have to say it in a graceful way, obviously. Now you can say, okay, well, what can I do so that this brand does not view me as a commodity? Well, I probably shouldn't just spit back one number, because they probably don't know that I have a newsletter with 10,000 of their ideal prospective customer on it. They probably don't know that. Or maybe they don't know that I have a private community of 1,000 of their ideal customers on this other platform over here. And so probably what I should do instead is send them multiple packages in a proposal, helping them understand these other ways in which I can serve them. Right. And so it's a really, really important concept to understand that, like, there's a couple things that this should lead you to think is like, okay, if the only lever that you have is just quantity. So let's say that you're a YouTuber and you have no other platform presence, nothing on social media, no email list, no community, no nothing. You're just like a single punch. You've only been focusing on one platform. Then it's going to be really difficult for you to pitch anything else to the brand that would get them excited to see how you could serve them in other potential ways, right? And so this is like a really, really important concept that, if you've heard this advice out there, like just pick a platform and just get really, really good at that platform and don't focus on any other platforms. And I actually think that's bad advice. If one of the primary ways in which you're monetizing your creator business is partnerships, then you can't just be a one-trick pony. You have to have at least, in my opinion, one other platform that you could, by the way, not just serve brands, but also serve your community, also serve your audience. Right? Because I bet you there are, you may not think that your, audience would really be excited about hearing from you in their email inbox or hearing from you on a short form platform or something. But I bet you there's ways in which you could very creatively, serve them. Here's a good anecdote. I, for a long time, resisted short form content because I felt as though I didn't want to, I consider myself a YouTuber at heart, because that's how I came up. My wife, started her first YouTube channel in 2009. I started my channel shortly thereafter. So it's like we've been doing long form content for a long time. And I just that's my comfort level, right? And so for a long time, I resisted being on doing Reels or doing TikToks or doing YouTube Shorts or anything that I was just like, nah, that's not me. I don't want to do that. I like making hour-long coaching calls and videos where I can go in depth with people and all that stuff too. And I've really come around to that, because if I think about what my core goal is as a creator, it's to serve more people. It's serve more creators, help people make more money through sponsorships, get more deals so that they can have a sustainable livelihood as a creator. That's my mission, right? And so everyone has different learning styles. If I'm myopic about only doing long form video, then there's a bunch of other people who I'm not going to serve who prefer learning things in a written way. I'm not going to, I'm never going to get in front of people who aren't really don't really think that they have a sponsorship problem. It's like they are problem aware, but not solution aware, meaning that they realize that they're not making enough money in their creator business, but they don't instantly think like, oh, sponsorships, that's what I'm having a problem with. And so that's what short form platforms are great at, because you get it's kind of like the very top of funnel, right? And so someone might come across a 30-second video that I do and was like, oh, this is interesting. I never really thought about that. Let me go deeper. Let me go subscribe to this guy on YouTube, or let me go follow his newsletter or something like that. And then I can't tell you how many times this has happened. It's like countless times where people have kind of found, kind of gone deeper and deeper because they found me with short form content. And so a good example, I just filmed these yesterday. Let me kind of show you a quick screenshot. So I started, where do I put this? Right here. And then you'll see it on right there. So you see that? So it's a whiteboard. So I'll put it on, I'll show you TikTok as well. I bought a whiteboard and I started doing content where it's like quick hits, like 30 seconds, 45 seconds, teaching my methodologies, teaching my frameworks. And I'm really excited about trying to do stuff like this. And so I went on a little bit of a tangent here, but like the point is that you may sit here and think that the only way in which you can serve your audience, or the only way in which you can serve a prospective brand partner, is on this one platform, your podcast or your newsletter or your YouTube channel or TikTok or whatever. But I want you to honestly, take a second look at that. I think that you could probably, not only will you no longer be a commodity because the brand now realizes like, oh, maybe we could actually, hire this creator to do more for us than just this one thing that we came inbound for. Let's, instead of hiring 10 people, let's hire 7 people, and we'll give Justin the 3x the budget, because he can do these other things that we actually need to accomplish with this campaign, and we don't have to handle those 2 other contracts, 2 other email threads with those other people. We can just do everything with Justin. It makes the brand's life a lot easier. So when a brand asks your rate, don't just automatically spit back one number and assume that they only want this for this one thing. And to be fair, to be clear, there are definitely brands who aren't going to be down for that. They're just going to be like, no, just give me your rates. They're not going to want to play games and not really going to want to have a deeper conversation. And I totally acknowledge that for sure. But there are brands out there who just fundamentally do not know that you have these other, presences elsewhere in ways in which you can serve them. The other reason why, when brands reach out asking your rates, that you should not just spit back one number or spit back a very simple, proposal to them, is that you've now established a really low price precedent. A very common challenge that people who enroll in my courses or people who hire me for one-on-one coaching, a lot of the time people say, they come inbound and they say, I've been working with these handful of brands for several years now. And I quoted them a very low rate just to kind of as a trial, just to kind of get my foot in the door. And then I've never been able to negotiate more money. It's a really common problem, right? And brands may perpetuate this because they say this, hey, can you give us a trial rate? And then if it goes well, maybe we'll consider increasing your compensation down the line or something like that, right? And then it becomes this cyclical thing where this never ending thing where you just keep doing work for the brand, and you don't want to screw up a good thing because the money is nice and it's $500 a month, $1,000 a month, but it's man, I've grown substantially since I started working with them. It feels like I'm getting the short end of the stick. How do you have that conversation without rocking the boat? It's nerve-wracking. In fact, I did a public coaching call with Arvid Kahl, and it's on my YouTube channel if you want to take a look. And this was his core challenge. It was I don't know. I just don't know if I want to. I don't know if I want to rock the boat. And so, there absolutely is ways in which you can get out of those price precedents. And a big part of it is helping the brand understand how you can serve them in other ways beyond what you've been doing to date. A lot of people make the mistake of trying to go back and renegotiate with the sponsor when they say, hey, I just think it's only fair that you pay me more. We've been working together for 2 years now. I think you should pay me more. And the brand is sitting here thinking nah, we're actually kind of happy with the way things are going. That's not a good enough, excuse, or got enough reason for us to justify. Remember, probably your contact has to go to their superior, or if it's an agency, has to go to their client and say, hey, this person we've been working with for a while, they're asking for double or triple the amount of money than we've been paying them. And unless you're a really standout partner, they're just going to say no. They're going to go and because you're a commodity, they're going to go and find someone else who's similar level of social presence, similar level of reach, and they're just going to hire them for less money. It's just, there's a lot of brands who have this perspective, which sucks, but it's true. I'm giving you, part of the reason you follow me is I'm going to give it to you straight, right? This happens, right? And so the way in which to combat that and the way in which to get out of these kind of lower price precedents is you have to come back to them and say, one of the things I talk about is putting together a relationship recap report where you say, hey, we've been working together over the last year or over the last 18 months or something, and here is everything that I've done for your brand. You summarize all the different posts that you've made. You start pulling together a lot of the qualitative comments that people have left, that people have DM'd you, comment, replied to your emails, whatever, mentioning the brand, asking you questions, things like that. And the brand will think couple things. Number one, that the person that you're dealing with may have moved on to another job. And so now you're interacting with a new person who doesn't really quite understand everything you've brought to the table. And so now this report allows them to see, oh, wow, I didn't realize Justin did so much for us over the last 18 months. And also, by the way, they can take that report into that meeting with their superior or into that meeting with their client. And it's a much easier conversation now because they have both quantitative and qualitative information to back up your ask, which is, hey, you need to compensate me more. And you're likely also proposing to do new things for them. It's not just kind of the same deliverables, right? And so a lot of these kind of things that I talk about in terms of getting out of these low price precedents are no longer being a commodity. It's helping the brand understand other ways in which you can serve them. And so we've gotten to the crux of this live stream. which is the script that you need to be saying when brands are asking your rates. And there's essentially three things that you need to do. It's kind of in order, okay? So the first thing that you need to do is you have to ask the brand about their campaign objectives. What are their goals? I call it my ARC framework, right? You may have heard me talk about it before, where the brand is either going to want to accomplish, it's going to be an awareness campaign where they would just want to spread the word, right? Brand awareness, new feature, they're launching in a new territory. R is repurposing. So the primary reason they want to hire you is to take your content and use it in other ways beyond you posting it on your platforms, right? So putting it on social media, putting it on their website, running it paid advertising with it. And the final goal type is a conversion campaign where, they want to drive sales. They want to drive app downloads, trial signups to their software, et cetera. And so that is the first question you have to ask is tell me about your goals. The second step is you have to tell me about the deliverables, the usage rights, and the exclusivity. I call it my do rule, right? And so you have to nail down exactly how much work do you want me to do? What do you want to do beyond just me posting it, which is the usage rights? Do you just want to do that organically, or do you want paid usage rights, right? Do you want to be amplifying this or boosting it to more audience than just follows me? And for what duration? And the exclusivity is are you not going to allow me to work with any of your competitors for a certain duration or in a certain category, right? And what the duration is there. And so the first question is you got to understand the objectives, right? The ARC framework. The second step is tell me about the do rule, the deliverables, the usage rights, the exclusivity. And then once you have those two pieces of information, you have to say something very, very specific. At the end of, whether it's via email and you've gotten all this information, or preferably you're on a call with the brand and they've given you all this information, at the very end when they say, so how much do you charge? What are your rates for what do you usually charge for this type of thing? You do not let them nail you down. You do not let them back you into a corner and just spit out a number that you'll regret, because I believe me, you will. You'll be in the shower later crying into your loofah. And you're just why did I have to say that, right? It's okay. Has anyone ever done that? Cried into your loofah? It's okay. It's all right. Drop it in the chat if you've cried into your loofah. It's okay. I can neither confirm nor deny whether I've done that. I don't know if I have, but it's a funny visual, right? You say, look, to the brand, you say, thanks so much for all this additional information. The campaign goals, the do rule, all that information was very useful. Typically what I like to do, everyone write this down. Typically what I like to do is put together a comprehensive proposal with 3 to 4 packages that outline the various ways we can collaborate. Do you have a sense of what those 3 to 4 tiers should be from a budget feasibility perspective? I'm going to say that one more time because you can say this basically verbatim. Thank you so much for all this additional info. Typically what I like to do is put together a comprehensive proposal with 3 to 4 packages that outline the various ways we can collaborate. Do you have a sense of what those 3 to 4 tiers should be from a budget feasibility perspective? Okay. And this accomplishes a couple different things. Okay. By the way, I just want to quickly clarify that this is different. This is different than saying what's your budget, because if you ask them what their budget is, most of the time they're not going to want to tell you because they don't want to be nailed down to that number. If they tell you 10K, what do you think your proposal is going to come back at? It's going to come back at 10K. And if something happens where their budget gets shrank and they have to come back to you and be like, oh, we don't have 10K anymore, we only have 5K. And you're like, sorry, right? And so that's not the situation you want to be in. You want to ensure that whatever budget ranges that you're able to come in at, there is some flexibility that they're able to proceed with you, even if there are changes to the budget downstream. Something I talk about a lot, when it comes to sponsorship strategy, is that your goal should not be maximizing the amount of money that you make per deal. Your goal as a creator should be maximizing what I call the lifetime value of the relationship. It's kind of a software term. I come from software engineering as my trade. And so they have these two terms in software engineering, or SaaS, like software as a service, called churn and LTV. And the way in which this should apply to you as a creator is that your LTV, right, is like maximizing the amount of money that you're making over a long time period. So rather than making 10K on this first deal, maybe you make 5K, but the brand renews with you, 4 times for that year. And so you ultimately end up making 20K, right, every once a quarter for that year. Hopefully it becomes a recurring thing, right? And so maximizing that lifetime value should be the priority. It requires a longer term perspective, of course, which I know some people have a challenge with, but you're all here. You all have this longer term perspective, right? And so you can, this resonates with you, right? And so that's LTV. And then the other term is churn. And what churn means in the software world is when you have someone sign up to your software program, how long does it take them? How long do they stick around until you cancel, right? And so the churn, if people churn, let's say at 3 months, that means that they canceled their subscription after 3 months. And so your goal as a creator should be to minimize churn, meaning like work with these clients over and over and over rather than just once and then they cancel their membership with you, right? Cancel their partnership because they don't want to work with you anymore, right? And so whatever you have to do, and what I'm not saying, to clarify, what I'm not saying is like charge a really cheap amount to like get in the door and get your foot in the door. That's not what I'm saying. It's that you have to help them understand and articulate why working with you over a longer time period is much more valuable than just a one-off thing. I talk about something in my Brand Deal Wizard program called the Marketing Rule of 7, which is basically a maxim that was developed in the 1930s by the movie studios. And they did a lot of research that found that the average moviegoer had to see a trailer or posters, or what, not a trailer back then, but like, movie posters or pamphlets or whatever about an upcoming movie, an average of 7 times before they ultimately bought a ticket and got their butt in the seat. And so this principle has been applied to so many different things in marketing and advertising over the years, but the same type of rule can apply when you're articulating to a brand about why you need to work together in a more comprehensive fashion. If when you ask the brands about their goals, right, and going back to that step 1, right, what are your goals, the ARC framework, and they tell you multiple things, because a lot of times brands will, awareness and conversions. We want to drive sales and we want to spread the word about our brand XYZ, right? And you have to sit them down and say like, look, it's going to be very difficult to accomplish that with a single activation. Because let me explain to you, brand, how that will change. Because what I'm going to, the way in which I'm going to tactically execute the partnership will change. If it's an awareness campaign, probably what I'm doing is I'm saying this episode is brought to you by brand X. And maybe I'm having your logo on my podcast cover art for 3 months. That is a brand awareness play. Contrast that with a conversion focused campaign. I'm saying click the use the promo code CreatorWizard20 to get 20% off your first purchase. Click the show notes. That is a conversion direct response tactic. The way in which I will execute that content will be different. And so you have to help the brand understand that, like, okay, if that's what you want, if you have multiple goals, then that probably means that we need to do 7 to 8 content pulses on multiple different platforms to accomplish both those objectives. And to a lot of brands, especially smaller brands that haven't done a lot of influencer marketing, their minds are going to be blown when you start talking to them about these things, because they will just simply not have thought that detailed about doing this type of thing. They look at influencer marketing, they kind of feel a little bit of FOMO, and they're like, oh, all these other brands in our category are doing it. I guess we got to do it too. But they're not thinking about it in the level of detail that you are. And so this is, again, going back to this whole thing about not being a commodity, about getting out of these low price precedents or trial rates that you've done before when brands are asking you your rates, how much you charge, this type of thing. It's these types of conversations, these types of questions. It's this type of research that you have to do and educate yourself as a creator to differentiate yourself from all these other people who are either accepting free stuff and be like, yeah, sure, or affiliate rates or ambassador rates or whatever. It's like, no, you're gonna not be that person. You're gonna be different than that, right? So is this helping? Give me some validation here in the chat. Give me some praise hands emojis. I'm gonna just do it for myself. Do some sound effects. Like, are we feeling? Give me some vibes here. Loving seeing everyone in the chat here. I'm gonna take a swig. Let's take this moment real quickly To acknowledge the sponsor of today's live stream, let me silence my alarm. I have an alarm like halfway through the live stream to remind me to do the sponsor plug, because if I don't, I just love keep talking. So like a little behind the scenes tactic there, like we got to talk about Uscreen, y'all, the sponsor of today's live stream. They're a longtime sponsor of mine. Always so appreciative of them. And so I want to start this off by saying, by asking a question. Okay. Do you want to know the secret to unlocking reliable recurring income and building a devoted community without all the headaches? Of course you do. Drop it in the chat. You want to know this secret, right? Well, this live stream is brought to you by Uscreen, which is an all-in-one membership platform designed to make your life easier and your pockets fuller. I believe that memberships are the future for many creators. I have kind of a membership model with my Wizards Guild program, where I'm doing asynchronous coaching for creators who are in that program. A lot of them are alumni in there, but I'm getting really excited about how memberships can impact my business and how I can serve my audience and my customers and my clients in that way. Here's the game changer. Uscreen creators are profiting faster than ever because over 70% of Uscreen creators have become profitable within just 3 months. It's crazy, just 3 months. And so Uscreen has helped creators earn more than $150 million a year and reaches over 10 million users. And by the way, you do not need millions of followers or hundreds of videos to start. Uscreen is for creators of all sizes who are looking to build like a reliable and recurring income with their content in their community. I'm going to share the screen to give you a peek into the Uscreen site. Let me do that here. Entire screen window. I think I'm going to do screen 2. There we go. I did that wrong last time. There we go. Boom. So you can see here, video creators build profitable memberships on Uscreen. And so, by the way, talk about seamless. Uscreen takes care of everything from live streaming to chat rooms to in-depth analytics. They've got you covered. Here's the best part. Uscreen helps you create your own branded apps as well. Imagine having like a Netflix style membership experience, but just for your content, right? Or maybe exclusive content that you create that you don't post other places. That's what Yoga with Adriene did with her app. It's called Find What Feels Good. And it's you can create this kind of amazing like ad-free experience for your community, and for Yoga, for Adriene, it was all built by Uscreen. And so, by the way, if you're worried about the tech stuff, you don't have to be. Uscreen offers free content migration, best-in-class customer support, and a dedicated success manager to guide you every step of the way. Also, personal anecdote, I've hung out with a bunch of the members of the Uscreen team, hung out with them at Vid Summit, hung out with them at FinCon, I think somewhere else, maybe VidCon. I'm trying to remember, but Rob and Srey and their whole team, they're awesome people. They're true advocates to the creator community. And I'm so like proud to be a longtime partner of Uscreen. So stop settling for less when you can have more. You can have more profits, more community, more freedom. And so if you want to start your membership journey with Uscreen, make sure to click on the link in the description box and you can check out. They have an on-demand demo of actually how it works, which is I think a newer thing for them. So let's share the screen. So when you click the link in the description box, and Bianca on my team just dropped a link to it. So folks who are in the YouTube chat will be able to click on there. But yeah, if you're watching elsewhere, you can just click the link in the notes and tell them that we sent you. I mean, talk about like a quick tactic here. We're talking about sponsorships here. A big struggle that brands have when trying to attribute the success of campaigns is understanding whether, I'm saying, hey, go click the link. And are people clicking on the link? Are people finding out about them through me or through the partners that they're hiring? And so when you can let them know that I sent you, whether it's on an onboarding call or when you do a demo or whatever it is, that means a lot. And so if you are truly interested in learning more about Uscreen, then definitely tell them that we sent you, because it allows me to continue bringing you awesome free live streams and content like this. So thanks again to Uscreen for sponsoring this portion of the live stream. All right, let's dive back into the chat here. I was seeing some good questions come in here. Let's see here. There we go. We got Elastica VR saying, interesting. I'm going to go check out Uscreen. Boom. There we go. Love to see it here. Thank you. Let me know. I'm very curious to see if you're going to enjoy it. There we go. Boom. Love to see it there. All right. We've got Angry Owl Outdoors. Good to see you here. I don't know, Angry Outdoors, if you knew this, but I recently featured a screenshot of a comment that you left on last week's live stream in my newsletter. I think it was something around like you had gotten some of your initial deals from watching this live stream. And that just made me so happy. I felt so happy when I heard that. So I featured you. So glad to hear that. Good to see you here. Let's see here. We got Alice Turner tuning in. We've got Jenny Lou Yoga. What's up? We've got Ime Umo, forgive me if I didn't pronounce your name properly, got a question here. I'm a travel creator. Is this applicable to working with tourism boards and travel brands? 100%. My wife and I have done many travel deals. Some for compensation, some for trade, by the way. Travel is something that we really enjoy doing, but it just really depends on the dynamics of the deal. And so, depending on for example, if you've watched my pitching masterclass, you know that I did a very well compensated partnership with a major cruise line. And that was because there was a lot of deliverables that were part of that campaign. Once we got to the cruise, we had to film a bunch of things. They had a crew there. We were going to ultimately be posting those assets on our platforms and things like that. And so this was something that we negotiated with them, to do that partnership. But there was other things, other opportunities that we've done that we weren't compensated. It was just like travel accommodations and so on. And so it just kind of depends on kind of where you're at in your journey, like depending on, does a free vacation sound awesome for you and your family? I get it. It's particularly more challenging. There's a couple different content verticals that I totally acknowledge that it's a little harder to get compensated deals. One is travel for sure. One is tech for sure, because creators in those particular content verticals, a lot of other people are fine just accepting free stuff. Like, oh, free trip, free accommodations, free travel. Say, yeah, where do I sign? Or like tech creators, like I don't have to pay $3,000 for the newest camera, or whatever, $1,000 for the newest smartphone. You'll just send it to me and I can talk about it. Like, it's actually funny because I share a story. You guys know I'm working on my forthcoming book, Sponsor Magnet, and I share a story about this particular thing in the intro chapter of the book about the very first time that a brand reached out offering free stuff, because it was like a transformative moment for us, right? I think a lot of people talk down on like free stuff, but like, man, I remember back in 2009, when April started her first YouTube channel, and the first brand reached out to offering her to send her free stuff. She was stoked out of her mind. It didn't matter that the product was $10 or $15 or whatever. Just the very thought that having built a presence on the internet could mean that a brand would want to send her something for free was transformative. It was so cool. And for a long time, it was so cool. It wasn't just like the first time. It was like, yeah, anytime a brand reached out, the universal answer would be like, sure, send it over, free stuff. It's awesome, right? And so it took a while. Like, in fact, I remember in 2010, I went back to school to get my MBA. And I started taking all these classes, like about, marketing and advertising and negotiation and economics and like accounting and all this stuff, and just like learning about the business stuff, right? And that it was only after that, only after it had been started kind of drilling in my brain of like, oh, all the things that brands do when they're trying to get their name out there and marketing and all this stuff, right? And it was only then that I told April, I was like, I think maybe you're getting the short end of the stick here. And that's when we started, educating ourselves about the process. But we made so many mistakes in the beginning. And so a lot of the stuff that I've talked about, Ime, on this live stream about advocating for yourself, helping them understand the way in which you can serve them beyond just you amplifying it on your platforms. Maybe it means creating content for them, for their usage. Maybe it means helping them with consulting, thinking through their social strategy. And I think that it really is a game-changing way to think about things, because there just simply isn't a lot of creators out there who have this level of compassion, interest, empathy, maybe, for the outcome of these brands' campaigns. Their singular focus is how much you're going to pay me. What's your budget? How much you're going to pay me? And so if you're the person asking some more detail oriented questions saying, hey, like, what's your objectives? Hey, like, what is your, tell me what's going on in your world right now. Like that truly is an absolute game changer and will differentiate you. I guarantee it. So regardless of what, vertical you're in, regardless of what, type of content you create, it's a game changer. Let's see here. We've got Paul Jameson tuning in the chat with a $19.99 super chat. Paul, you have no idea, man. He says, got paid for my biggest brand deal today. Thank you, Justin and D. Paul, I am so proud of you, dude. Like, you have no idea. Those of you who know Paul, we go way back. He's my longest coaching client. He's an alumni of our programs. He's in our Wizards Guild program. I think we've done 15 or 20 one-on-one calls over the last year or two. And Paul is just absolutely crushing it. Paul is from the Green Industry podcast, and just left and right. I mean, he's just making moves, and I'm so proud of you, man. And it's all you though, man. I mean, we're there to support you, but at the end of the day, this is all because of you. This is all because of what you've built. And if we can play a small role in helping you succeed, man, I'm so proud of you, dude. So let's give it up for Paul in the chat. Come on, let's get some golf claps here. Let's get it. I'm so proud of you, dude. Good to see you here, man. And thanks for the super chat, man. It means a lot. All right. Jason says, okay, real quick, we've already got a testimonial from someone who has read an early version of the book. Jason said, by the way, I used your script and adapted it to an email. I sent it out about 2 hours ago from the book. Boom. This is how actionable the book is going to be. Right? This is how actionable the book is going to be. You're going to be able to take these scripts and boom, 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 apply it right there in an email. Are you excited for that? Who's excited for this? Who's excited for the book? By the way, Jason, you'll be very thrilled to know that the entire first section of the book has completely changed. It's literally, I did not save anything. I threw it in the trash can and I completely rewrote the first section of the book. I'm still laboring on it. In fact, I'm going to do my writing block right after this live stream to kind of, I couldn't do it this morning, but yeah, excited to hear that. Keep me posted with how that goes. Let's see. Simplify Gardening said, I just launched my third book and it went bestseller in the UK and the USA in under 24 hours. Holy cow. Let's give some golf claps in the chat for Simplify Gardening. Can you let me know your name, Simplify Gardening? I don't know your name. Incredible. I'm so proud of you. That is a huge accomplishment. Let me know, are you self-publishing that book? I'm really curious because this is just like a world that I'm diving into right now. And yeah, very, 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 very excited for you. Huge. Delilah says the book is so awesome, even at its earliest drafts. Thank you so much, Delilah. That really means a lot, and thank you for just taking the time, to read it. It means a lot to me. Let's see here. Brady, your tutor, a past alumni of Brand Deal Wizard and a past alumni of Wizards Guild, says in the TikTok chat, I just went through Brand Deal Wizard PDFs and sent out a post-campaign report. Boom, here we go, Brady. I don't even know how long ago you took the class, a year and a half ago, something like that. Still finding value, still using a lot of the frameworks from that you learned in Brand Deal Wizard, and you're still continuing to reap the rewards of what you've learned. Brady, let's give it up. Let's give it up for Brady in the chat. So proud of you, Brady. Good to see you, dude. Let's see here. Logan Nathanson is also here, and he just became the #1 gifter. It says he's the #1 gifter badge. He sent me a heart me and some other things. I still don't understand how gifting works on TikTok, but you know what? I am very appreciative of you, Logan. Appreciate you, dude. Dang, look at that. Appreciate that, dude. Let's see. Tony O'Neill, Simplify Gardening. The third book was through a publisher. The first two were self-published. All right, Tony, very interesting. I'm going to talk about. So one thing I'm going to start sharing a lot more is that like I'm going to do something pretty different with my book. So I am self-publishing for this first thing, but I have some pretty ambitious ways for how I'm planning on getting my book sponsored. So there's a lot of different things that I'm going to probably do, but one that excites me the most is that I am going to pitch a lot of the creator economy companies out there, a lot of whom I'm already partnered with, but some that I'm not yet, to create a custom version of my book that has an insert at the beginning talking about their brand and how their brand can serve creators. So imagine having a ConvertKit edition of my Sponsor Magnet book where it has either an appendix or a foreword about how you can use newsletters to get sponsorships, or how newsletters can augment your sponsorship strategy as a creator. And imagine if they were to print 500 or 1,000 of those ConvertKit edition copies for the conference that they run called Craft and Commerce, or print that to send out to their customers, to their VIP customers or something like that. How dope is that? This is something that I'm going to be doing with my upcoming book, because I think because the topic is so universal for a lot of types of companies, I'm going to start doing this type of thing, and I'm going to make case studies. You can get anything sponsored. This is one of the things that I'm hoping to talk about more in my book, and it's something I talk about in my program extensively. Is anything is sponsorable. I have my course, Brand Deal Wizard. I've gotten it sponsored. Like this. I ran this pitching challenge recently. I'm gonna get that sponsored. For the next time that I do it. This first time we were just kind of working out the kinks, ironing out the kinks. But now that we have it, kind of humming on autopilot, gonna get that sponsored, right? So it's like there's so many. This is the reason that I love helping people think about sponsorship strategy so much more broadly, because a lot of the ways in which you can serve brands is you're not just does not just conform to a standard brand deal where it's I talk about the brand on my platform, or I talk about them in my YouTube video or my newsletter or whatever. It's no, there's these much more ambitious things that you can do that are so much more creative that can help them accomplish their objectives. I hope if that's the only thing you ever learn from me, it's it's not just about you. It's about how you can help the brand accomplish their objectives. Technicolor says, will there be an audio version? You know it. And I think I have to read the audio version, right? No, I can't have someone else read my book. It's got to be me, right? I do have a little bit of a lisp. Have you ever noticed that? So it was much more pronounced when I was younger, but I think, what do you think? I could still do it even though I got a lisp, right? I don't know. I think I should probably read the audiobook, right? All right. Tony says, oh, wow, I wish I had thought of that for my self-published books. Yeah. Your ideas around sponsorships are amazing, Justin. Always happy to knock heads. If you need a chat going through it, just hit me up. Means a lot to me. Thank you, Tony. I appreciate that, dude. And I may just take you up on that. We got Joe Casabona tuning in the chat. Joe says, this is so smart. I am writing an article for Lulu about how I did this with my last book. The sponsor for the book, not that dope strategy you just mentioned. Dude, okay, so for those of you guys who don't know Joe, he's a longtime friend, and he is a coach. He is now a sponsorship coach in our Wizards Guild program. So previously it was just Dee and I doing it, and then Dee kind of took over, and now Joe is helping out because the program is growing. And so glad to have you here, dude. Joe is a very, very experienced creator, been a podcaster for many years, been on YouTube, a lot of different platforms, and so I'm feeling very fortunate to work with you, Joe. Yeah, I can't wait to read that article when you release it, man. So make sure to send it over. Delilah says, I read tons of audiobooks, and I always prefer the ones read by the author best. All right, good to know. Okay, well, especially if you know me from following me on social media, I think it would probably be weird to not have me read it. Elastica VR says, you have a great voice. Wow. Is it the lustrous radio, late night radio DJ slow jams voice that I have? Also, this microphone helps a lot to make me sound like that. Yeah, okay. So I guess I got to do it. I appreciate that. Yeah, Def, read it yourself. I made the mistake of having someone else read mine, and it was the biggest mistake I made. Wow. That's a big statement. Okay. I'm going to take that to heart for sure. Going to take that to heart. Technicolor says definitely you. Okay, good to know here. All right, let me scroll up and get to some questions here. Let's see here. Let's see if I missed any earlier on in the chat. And make sure to drop your questions here too. Okay, here we go. Got a question around Elastica VR. What personal info do you need to give companies when you do a sponsorships? I do like Social Security. I'm interested. Like Social Security. I'm interested when it is required. Your Social Security number should never be required. I can't think of a time when I would have needed to supply a Social Security number to a brand. That sounds like identity theft to me. The personal info that companies will need. Sorry. To clarify, you absolutely, if you do not have a business incorporated, then on your tax form, it is going to be your Social Security number. And that is a standard thing to do. What I was talking about is like, if you have reached a point in your creator journey where you have a business entity, like in the US, like an LLC or a corporation or whatever, S corporation, et cetera, you will have a federal tax ID number that is not your Social Security number. So when the brand asks you for your tax form, like your W-9, for example, then that's the number that you provide to them. So to clarify, if you are still a proprietor, a self-proprietor, sole proprietor, then yeah, you are going to, when you submit your tax info, then you are going to need to have your Social Security number on there, which is why I am usually a fan for trying to get a business identification number as soon as possible, if at the very least for security purposes. But if they're like asking you for that Social Security number in a non-tax form context, you definitely should not provide that to them. This would be more kind of either at the tail end of the deal or when you're filling out vendor paperwork to get paid and you're submitting your invoices and things like that. So I hope you would have sniffed out other red flags prior to providing a brand something like this. So hopefully that's helpful. All right. Yeah. Real Chris Ryan said, yeah, you do it on your W-9. And so that's why I think it's like definitely a good thing to, to try to get an EIN as soon as possible. Sorry, an EIN is an employer identification number. Let's see. We've got Vendi Steinberga tuning in on YouTube. I'm going to be on Vendi's podcast soon. She reached out with a really kind message on LinkedIn, of all places, recently. And so it's good to see you here, Vendi. And just a quick note, Vendi filmed a really nice personal Loom video when she invited me to the podcast. And it was a really nice touch. I talk about this a lot, about how you can do stuff like that when you reach out to brands and do things like that as well. And so really appreciated that touch, Vendi. Good to see you here. Ask a question here from Vendi. Should the brand be able to keep your deliverables and likeness on their website after the end of the organic usage period? Really great question here, Vendi. So oftentimes, brands in the version of the contract that you'll be sent, they will ask for perpetual usage to your content, which means that they can do whatever they want to it forever. Forever. Perpetuity means forever. Perpetual is the same version of that. And so almost in every circumstance, I would say in every circumstance, you always want to limit the usage duration to something finite. So whether it's 6 months, 3 months, a year, whatever, the thing that you'll see very commonly in contracts, and this is a clause that I for full disclosure, I'm not a lawyer, of course, so don't take this as legal advice. But a clause that you'll see very regularly in partnership contracts is that the brand can repost your content, let's say, on their social media page during the partnership term. And they do not have to remove it after the partnership term expires. However, they can't do any new promotion of the asset after the term expires. So what this means is, let's say you have a 6-month usage term for this brand. They post it on January 1st. And then they repost it again, let's say in March or something like that. Then we get to the end of June, partnership term expires. The brand doesn't have to go back there and delete that Instagram post from 6 months ago or from 3 months ago. That's a pretty standard thing. Like people just don't really delete posts on social media. And so if you had it, if you were asking in the contract, hey, you have to go back and delete that thing, that is an abnormal thing. It's totally standard to allow a brand to keep that content posted. What this contract term usually prevents is that after July 1st, they can no longer repost that content on their social media accounts or something like that. If, however, your question, Bendy, is like them using it on their website, that's a little murkier because there's more utility for the brand to keep it on there, right? Because maybe it's a landing page using your name and likeness, or heck, maybe it's some, your name and likeness is splashed on the front page of their website or something like that. You do need to maybe be, depending on the content that you create for them, may need to be more mindful and may need to carve out a different set of usage privileges for the website that are separate from social media. So yeah, maybe you're fine leaving the content posted on the brand's social handles after the term expires, but with no new promotion. But for the website, maybe you say, hey, the content, unless you extend the usage of my name and likeness and things like that beyond the partnership term, for the website content in particular, that has to be removed after 6 months. That's totally reasonable to try to carve out something like that. And in fact, I think that's probably best practice. So, I think that answers your question. So let me know if you have any further clarifications there. Herb and Spice Kitchen, Urban Spice Kitchen says, hello, Justin. I just found you on Think Media. Yes, I just had a podcast go live with Sean Cannell of Think Media, and it's so awesome to see that you came over. The power of collaborations, right? Good to see you here. Absolutely good to see you here. We've got D Barrios, EXO tuning in on Instagram. Who is Bear tuning in on Instagram as well. Chev Meds tuning in. Damn it, Jeff says, no way you just popped up on my feed. Haha, I just subbed to your newsletter. Boom. There we go. Damn it, Jeff. There we go. Tuning in on TikTok. Good to see you here, dude. It's the world. It's synchronicity. The world is like bringing us together somehow, I guess. Right? Tony says, yeah, loves Sean Cannell, another great channel. Absolutely agree. Absolutely agree. Bianca is surfacing more questions for me. Thank you, Bianca. Jenny had a question. Do we email you to read the draft or is it too late? What is this for? Draft of what? Where's your question? Is this about the pitch challenge, Jenny? I don't know if this is. I don't know if this is about the pitch challenge. The pitch challenge was meant to be a time bound thing. So it was like it was a 7-day pitch challenge, and there was a couple extra days that we kept the challenge space open, and like that was the time period in which we will be able to provide feedback on your pitches. But other than that, book on the book. Sorry. Is it okay? Is it too late to read the draft? Jenny, apologies. I didn't get that part of the context. No, it's not too late. I recently sent out an email on my newsletter, if you're on there, where there was a link at the bottom where you could opt in to be an early reader. There was actually a couple different questions there to like determine where in the draft process you wanted to be brought in. And so, yeah, I have already done the first round of beta readers, which has caused me to go back and rewrite everything for the first section. But I'm hoping to send out another kind of V2 of the book draft 2 or 3 weeks. Don't hold me to it, but like two or 3 weeks is when I'm targeting to have that done. The challenge with the book is that I was very clear, or I was very sure, I was very certain that I was going to the book structure. I was like, it's going to be this. I'm going to have a really short, pithy, intro section that has brevity, and it's like to the point and this type of thing. And universally, almost all of the feedback that I got from my early readers was like, oh, hold on there, cowboy, right? Take me out to dinner before you just jump right into here. I need to see some stories. I need to get some, illustration of your credibility. You can't just tell me you're an expert. You got to show me that you're the expert, right? So it's like a lot of the stuff that, in retrospect makes a lot of sense, but I've spent a lot more time being thoughtful about how to start this book off. A big challenge was that I've tried to be, very mindful of who my reader segment is, like about the types of creators that I want to serve with this book. I want this book to be kind of a handbook, a very recommendable resource that people will maybe kind of have open on their desk or in their bookcase, where every time they run into a situation with the brand, they can just open it and thumb to the section where they're having a challenge, and it'll be really useful in that regard. In fact, this is totally hilarious, but let me show you what I did. Okay, hold on. Oh my God, everything's falling. Hold on. Okay, hold on here. Okay, so what I did, this was the biggest value of having beta readers, was I had all of these people reach out to me and be like, hey, are you going to do this thing? because I read this other book over here, and the thing you're talking about here reminds me of like what this book did. Not the content itself, but the way that they structured the book, or the way they had their graphics, or like, hey, Justin, you can have a workbook with this, or hey, blah, 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 blah. And so all these people would be like, you should check out the way this book did it, because I think it was really smart, the way that they structured the opening section, or like whatever. And so over the last week, I have bought a bunch of books to do research, right? All these really good books. Stop Asking Questions, Bombs Always Beep, How to Be Your Biggest Fan, The Startup Owner's Manual. This one actually is interesting, kind of like related to what I was talking about. My friend Brandon from he's a past alumni of Brand Deal Wizard. He was like, I really think you should check out The Startup Owner's Manual, because this really is like a resource in that way, where it's like, there's all these charts, and like it's like a reference guide that you can always kind of like refer to. And so I just wanted to like, you can see on the cover, it's like a exploded version of a car engine, I think. And so it's like very on the nose about it being like a resource manual. And so like, I don't know if I'm going to ultimately do something that in detail, but like, this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm spending all my time doing. When I block out 2 hours every day, sometimes longer, this is what I'm doing. I'm researching, I'm trying to make this book, the best it can be, and the most useful thing, that can be. It's called the Startup Owner's Manual. Yeah. And Tony says, I need that book. Hurry up, Justin. Well, Tony, I'm trying my best. I thought I was like pretty good. I had 4 chapters written, and then I got feedback from everyone, and they're like, no, go back and rewrite. No, actually no one told me to rewrite it. No one told me like, oh, you should do this. Everyone gave me very, constructive feedback. It was awesome. Yeah. So, I want this book to be the best it can be. And so, I must say though, can I be honest about something? Like I'm really looking forward to being introduced as an author. Is that dumb? Is that stupid? Let's be real here. There's something different about being introduced as an author when you're being brought up on stage, or when you're being brought up on a podcast or something like that. I've always kind of struggled. Like, I'm a sponsorship coach. That's what I call myself if I'm in conversations. Like, that's what I say. But like, more and more, the title of writer, the title of author is something that I'm very excited about owning, because I love reading. I love the written word. I love learning in that format. And so I've never thought about myself as an author before, though, even though I've written tons of things in my newsletter and all that stuff. I have the blog on my website and all that stuff too. But somehow it never felt appropriate to call myself an author, or even a writer, really, because I didn't have a book. And so there's a lot of other reasons I'm writing the book, obviously, but like, I'm excited. I'm excited about checking off that part of my world domination plan, the box, right? Write a book. That's it. It's on the path, taking over the world. That's what it is. So, yeah. Joe says, oh, books show that you did the work and you're willing to teach it. Yes. Yeah. Wow. That hit me. I got goosebumps on that one. Thank you, Joe. You know it because you've written multiple books, man. Appreciate that. Yeah. Tony says, no, it's exciting, especially if it goes bestseller, because now I can use that title. Yeah, that's huge. That's huge. That's really impressive. Actually, let me know, Tony, maybe you can DM me after this. I'm wondering if you've written anywhere about your book launch strategy, like if you had one. I just listened to Jay Klaus and Noah Kagan. Noah Kagan just released a $1 million startup weekend, $1 million weekend, I think it's called. And he did a whole episode around his book launch strategy. And that was fascinating, because that's another thing I've been thinking about, is like how I'm going to do that. So I feel like I need someone to help me with that. Bianca? No. Bianca said, didn't know I signed up for world domination. Yeah, totally signed up for world domination. Well, my version of world domination is helping people create a livelihood for themselves, where they can thrive and love their life. That's my version of world domination. Let's see here. Yeah. Jason said Noah was just everywhere. Yeah. That week that he released the book, I swear to God, I saw him on, I don't even know how many YouTube channels, podcasts, like that dude. Yeah. He on Twitter, like it was crazy. Herb and Spice Kitchen says, do you have a course on sponsorships and working with brands? Boy, do I ever, Herb and Spice Kitchen. It's called Brand Deal Wizard, and my Bianca from my team, I'm sure, would be able to drop the link for it in the chat. Yeah, I have an on-demand version of the program. I have a live cohort that I teach. Yeah, it's a some people have told me that they've taken this is funny. I got this feedback that, in someone's testimonial about the course, they said, every other course I've taken about being a creator felt like a preschool like class, and your course felt like a college level course. I was like, thank you. That was like a really nice compliment. I appreciate that. It is. It's very in depth. It's not surface level. I go very, very in detail on this stuff. Those of you guys who are alumni in my program can probably vouch for that if you're here. And so, yeah, so if you want to find out more information about that, there we go. Bianca says she's dropping the chat there, got the link to enroll. She's dropping the link right to enroll right there. You won't even need to read anything, just enroll. But if you do want to check out the longer sales page or like to learn more about it, it's creatorwizard.com/branddealwizard. Lastica said, hooray for the world domination the Justin way. You know, the other thing, we got John Willis tuning in on Instagram. What's up, dude? The best landscaping. Izzy Wolfson says, this guy's an OG. KKR 2023 says, I love your energy. Boom. Thank you very much. Good to see you here on TikTok. Appreciate that. What was I just about to say? Vendy says, thank you, Justin. Great insight. Shared you with my client today. And she literally said, oh my God, yes. Thanks so much for finding this guy, Vendy. Sponsored live stream. How freaking clever. There we go. Yeah, you guys are getting ideas about how you can get sponsored just from watching me, right? Boom. You didn't think you could get a live stream sponsored? Heck yeah. I have so many different things sponsored in my business. Let's go. Let's go. Delilah says, it is in depth. I was on a roll and set to finish in one day, but I stopped and slowed down because it's truly so much information. I was getting overloaded and had to back up a bit and take it in. Yeah, well, appreciate that candor, Delilah, and I'm so glad to have you in the program as well. Tony says, I'll drop you a chat. Yeah, appreciate that. There was a question that Joe says, Justin Moore, coach, author, professor. I don't know about professor, but I appreciate that, dude. And like those of you guys who don't follow me on social media may not have seen this, but okay, I'm going to drop something. I'm just going to mic drop it because we're almost at time. I'm going to mic drop it and I'm going to see what you guys think about this. Sponsorship Strategy Summit 2025 in-person conference. How are we feeling about this? Sponsorship Strategy Summit 2025. We in? You in? What do you think about this? Would you attend something like this? A meeting of the minds of brands and creators, panels, sessions from both brands, creators, agencies about how we can create better partnerships. Whoa, how do we think about this? How are we feeling about this? Would you attend something like that? Where should this be? 2025 is not that far away. I really feel for my team because I always have these like crazy ideas where I'm like, I decided I want to launch a conference, guys. What do you think about that? And then they're just like, what? And then they're left to kind of pick up the pieces. No, I don't do it like that. Like I definitely am involved in the process, but like, I don't know. I'm feeling very excited about this, and it's probably going to be a small affair initially. I don't know, probably 50, 100 people, something like that, maybe. Keep it small and intimate and kind of a nice summity feel so we can have breakouts and stuff like that. I feel like that would be, and there's nothing that exists like this. It's kind of a meta topic, I feel like, but I feel like there's like it doesn't make sense to me because like if you look at pretty much any study out there for creators and influencers and people like that, brand partnerships is like their largest revenue stream by far. 60-70% of their revenue, people say their single largest revenue stream is partnerships, brand deals, sponsorships. And so it's like, how come there isn't an event like focused on this, like for the single largest revenue stream? It doesn't make sense to me, right? And so I feel like I should probably be the guy to do that. So I need to, Bianca, like we were just talking about this. Similarly, you sent me that loom. We probably need to put the wait list up, right? We need to put the wait list. Bianca says, I will not sleep until we make this happen. Look at that. Boom. Holy cow. All right. So I think we need to put up the wait list for the Sponsorship Strategy Summit. This is like like priority number one. People are saying very interesting. All right. Venue, Angry Owl Outdoors says, yeah, I hear Idaho is the best venue. Yeah. I mean, the Craft and Commerce is in Boise. I loved it last year. I'm planning on going back again this year. Jason says in Orlando. Yeah. Joe says in. John says where, when, sold. Boom. There we go. Yes, Delilah says 2025, baby. Let's do this. All right. Tony says, love that. Where? Bianca, we need to like screenshot all these people who are saying that they're interested, but we need to have a wait list page up. That's actually a good idea. I need to do that. Angry Owl Outdoors says, I will wear my kilt. Wow. That's where I'm at. Boise for the win. Yes, there we go. Vendy says, literally had no idea anyone made real money on sponsorships until I binged Justin's YouTube. Well, there we go, Vendy. Yes, you're in the right place for this because that is all we talk about here. All we talk about here. It's funny. Like when I tell people that April and I have made $4 million working with brands over the last decade, a lot of people don't believe me, or they're incredulous. They just don't think how is that even possible to do? We've done 550 sponsorships, which is crazy. And in fact, like this is something I'm talking about in the first section of my book is that I didn't actually realize that what we were doing was so unique. I kind of just thought that everyone did that. Everyone was getting that level of business that doing that, like doing deals with brands repeatedly, and they were hiring them again and all this stuff too. And because, for the longest time, like we were on an island, we didn't really have a lot of friends. We made friends over time, but like for the longest time period, for the first like 5 years, we didn't talk to anyone. We didn't know anyone. Right. And so this was just the way we were doing things. Right. And I took my approach to working with brands. And, I was a product manager. And so running projects and doing, being very on top of it and emails and being very professional and submitting reports to the brand and all this stuff, it just came second nature to me because that's what I did professionally. And so when I talked to other creators who weren't getting as much business as we were from brands about what they were doing, I was shocked. I was like, oh, I guess what we're doing is very different, right? And so I parlayed that, and that's how I started my influencer marketing agency, ran that for 7 years. And so this is why I started creating this content, is because it became so clear to me that people are not doing it right. They're just, in my opinion, they're doing it wrong. Like if you think that sponsorships are unpredictable, or if you can't make a lot of money from sponsorships, it's totally false. It's totally wrong. Case in point, April and I, case in point, the millions of dollars I paid out to other creators in my influencer agency, and case in point to the millions of other dollars of folks that I've, of creators that have generated revenue through my program and coaching and all that stuff too. So oh, hold on here. Why is it TikTok just says live will end? I had to do a verification to see if I was still here. There we go. I'm still here. MKBHD, here we go. John said in the chat, MKBHD just signed a $1 million deal at $250K a year with Ridge. So brand deals are the future for creators, and Justin is the go-to guru for knowing how to do it. The guy is literally a wizard. John, I appreciate that so much. And, I actually think that Marquez actually got paid way more than that. That deal that Sean, from Ridge, posted about, that was like the starting offer of like who he wanted to, like, oh, this is the deal. Like, who can I find with this? I probably believe Marquez is making a lot more than that, and I'm sure he has equity now. So like he probably made way more than that. So anyways, but yeah, I mean, that's case in point. And so Angry Hour Outdoor says, Justin, the difference is that you seem to have a genuine care for people, and then the outcome on both sides. Treat people as people, and everyone wins. God, that's the biggest compliment. That is the absolute biggest compliment, because that's how I feel. That's how I feel. And I just, the fact that comes through in the content and in what I do really means a lot to me. So anyways, thank you so much for showing up. We went a little bit over today. Thank you so much for each and every one of you who show up here every live stream. I did want to thank today's sponsor, Uscreen, one more time. If you're interested in creating a membership for your creator business, I absolutely would recommend checking them out. They have been big supporters of our business here at Creator Wizard, and we're always so appreciative of that. So make sure to click the link below to check them out. And I will see you all next week on the flip side. Peace.